Colonel John Kardos, former director of the Peacekeeping and Stability Operations Institute, PKSOI, and I retired back in July of this year. And right now I'm starting up the junior OTC program at Cumberland Valley High School. I think from the very beginning that PKSOI has taken an approach that it would act as an impartial facilitator between military and civilian organizations. Their FM 307 stability operations was a perfect example of how you bring all the representatives from departments and agencies together and let them truly contribute rather than putting together a product and just asking for comment afterward. And we use that model in a lot of the things that we did in PKSOI to make sure that they were truly providing input and they could see their words in the documents rather than just commenting on our words afterward. And that gave them a level of confidence to work with us on a regular basis. Absolutely the right decision to have PKSOI be a part of the Army War College. You have 300 plus senior leaders here each year, plus those who are in the distance learning course. And now that we've been able to incorporate peace and stability operations into the core curriculum, all of those individuals benefit from that. In an academic environment, we have organizations that would not necessarily meet with us if we were down in the Pentagon, feel that by coming here and being able to have an open dialogue about issues in an academic environment rather than one that's focused on policy and decisions and so forth, that you can move these efforts forward significantly, especially for example, non-governmental organizations, certain other civilian organizations. And the fact that the organization is just 2 hours drive away from Washington, D.C. and other key sites on the East Coast means that they can be fully involved and have face-to-face meetings on a fairly regular basis. Some of the things that we worked with the State Department in particular, U.S. Agency for International Development and other organizations, in order to, for example, the interagency management system, to put together teams of planners at various levels to work together from the very beginning in order to come up with coordinated, integrated plans rather than each of the departments and agencies working in their own areas and then bringing them together later. Putting together an integrated planning framework. So you had some kind of common basis for doing that planning, as well as the ICAF, the assessment framework that was put together to help setting. I think we really need to, and this is going to have to be, I think, addressed at the national level, is to figure out how we bring the departments and agencies together more effectively to start planning on these things from the beginning. And that requires us to have a good knowledge of locations around the world, especially where you have fragile states, where you have new situations developing, where countries are at risk. We have to have individuals with the expertise to truly understand what's going on and help us to shape the objectives as we go into those areas. I think the key for PKSOI is to stay engaged at the strategic and operational level. That's really what the organization was designed to do. I think that education and training piece, and including what we did with some civilian agencies, working with the State Department, the Office of the Coordinator for Reconstruction and Stabilization, the Foreign Service Institute, and colleges and universities who have stood up additional programs in stability operations, to bring all of them together once a year in our training and education workshop and to share with them this kind of information so that we come to a better understanding of what stability operations are really on. If you're going to institutionalize something, you have to get it into the education process. So some of the things we did right here, where every year you have 300 plus senior leaders, military from all the services, civilian leaders, representatives from other countries who come here to learn to think and work at the strategic level. So it's a great audience for us to get involved in. And the classes that we put together for those then were also exportable potentially to units getting ready to deploy. We also provided that information to other schools, such as those at the Combined Arms Center, the work that we did with Doctrine. And some of that was on the military side and putting together field manuals and other documents. But we also worked with civilian organizations to put things together, such as the guiding principle for stability operations that we did with U.S. Institute for Peace. Working with the CAR Center at Harvard, putting together mass atrocity response operations manual. And then we put together a number of other handbooks where we had folks who had particular expertise on things like ministry reform. And we put together a CERT manual and a number of other documents to help individuals, both civilian and military, senior leaders, as well as folks that are out in the field. the relationship that PKSOI has established for these different organizations is going to be key to that. I think there's a level of trust and credibility that allows individuals from the organization to go out and work with these organizations to move ahead of the various efforts. So whether that's developing new doctrine, I think that we will expand the education and training pieces. PKSOI supports the warfighter in two different ways. First of all is directly. We were asked on a number of occasions to provide subject matter experts to assist headquarters and units that were deployed. For example, we sent a couple of planners to Central Command shortly after General Petraeus took command to assist them in putting together their theater campaign plan. We had another individual who was an expert in detention operations based on his experience in Iraq, and they asked for him by name to assist in putting together similar operations in Afghanistan as we expanded the mission there. We had other individuals work with a State Department team that went into RC East to do an assessment to determine how well plans were working from the highest headquarters getting down to the units executing on the ground. So that was part of it. Also directly, we provided individuals to work with headquarters from Corps down to brigade combat teams to assist them before they deployed, to help them understand more about stability operations, to help them understand how to work with the civilian departments and agencies personnel that would be on the ground where they were deploying. But I think really some of our biggest impact is what we did indirectly, helping to develop the stability operations doctrine so that all of the forces that are out there on the ground better understand the environment in which they're operating, how to effectively achieve the goals and objectives that we need to in these countries to reestablish a stable environment. But I think we're going to continue to see in a lot of the things in which we're involved that you need to apply the principles for peace and stability operations. So I think we need to continue the education, the training. We need to continue to research this and get a better understanding of exactly how you do it, and then apply that to the way we structure different organizations, the way that we go about doing business, from assessing and planning at the national level all the way down to execution, down at the tactical level, and all of those need to be tied together. I think we need to continue to work toward prevention, to where the work that's being done in the regional commands and out in the diplomatic missions around the world, that they're able to work together to understand what's going on in these various areas, and then work together to do the assessment, the planning, to help support the things that the United States is trying to achieve in these various parts of the world.